In 2014, there was a group of researchers from West Virginia University who were testing on the Volkswagen diesel cars that actually passed the emission test and are running on the roads. The researchers found out that there was a significant difference between the emissions of these vehicles and the recorded emissions in the test of these vehicles itself. Then they discovered that Volkswagen actually had installed a device called defeat device in most of its vehicles. This device was actually a software program that detected if the vehicle is undergoing emission tests or not by checking the speed and RPM of the motor, the duration, and the steering wheel movement. It was noticed that for some cases, for some vehicles, the emissions were actually 40 times more than the recorded emissions for nitrogen oxide or NOx. This was done for about 11 million vehicles worldwide. So the US Environment Protection Agency, EPA, issued a warning notice to Volkswagen regarding the defeat devices, and this led to a huge legal and financial loss for the company. Volkswagen faced a fine and compensation of about 30 billion US dollars, including the compensation for car owners as well as environmental remediation and some legal penalties. This fine was reduced and Volkswagen came into a settlement with EPA for 14.7 billion US dollars. Apart from this, they had to do buyback programs, some environment mitigation payments, and future investment in EV infrastructure was guaranteed from Volkswagen. Some executives of Volkswagen faced criminal charges as well, and some were sentenced for prison terms. Most of the cars were recalled and the technical changes were done to meet the emission norms. Now, why Volkswagen did this? The thing is, as the emission norms are getting more strict, it is becoming more difficult to fit in those norms as well as reduce the cost of the vehicle. This was the time when in India, BS3 was being implemented nationwide. Now, what is BS3? BS3 means Bharat Stage 3. It is the third version of the emission norms created by Government of India based on the European emission regulations and rules. As the future versions of these norms are implemented, the norms become more stricter for vehicles. So to meet these norms, companies actually have to make their machines more complex by bringing in systems like selective catalytic reduction and diesel particulate filters. Today, if you see, all the cars and bikes have a catalytic converter before their exhaust. These catalytic converters use precious metals like platinum, palladium, and rhodium to speed up the chemical reaction with the gases that are emitted by the engine. So the catalytic converter breaks down carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, hydrocarbons to CO2 and water, and nitrogen oxide to nitrogen and oxygen. Actually, the breakdown of these gases emitted by an engine happens naturally as well, but the natural breakdown is slow as compared to the number of vehicles and the increasing emissions. And this is the reason catalytic converters are necessary. We have also seen that in India, there were several catalytic converters that were stolen from vehicles like Maruti Suzuki Eco due to the convenience of removing it. It hardly takes 10 minutes to remove a catalytic converter from such vehicles, but the losses will be around 50,000 rupees even for budget vehicles. And then the precious metals from these catalytic converters were sold in black. So we have already made building efficient engines very complicated. And with the implementation of BS7 in phases, we are seeing that car manufacturers are finding it impractical to build diesel engines, as it can be environment friendly, but it cannot be cheap as well as fuel efficient at the same time. And that is the reason you are seeing there are no or less diesel options for vehicles these days. For budget cars, car manufacturers are offering more and more CNG options, and for average priced vehicles, you are seeing more hybrid options and turbocharged vehicles, as these offer a bit more power and more fuel efficiency. With time, you will see that hydrogen and EV cars will be dominating. But till that moment, you can enjoy petrol cars for now. But as we are going through this transition of IC engines to EVs, does it make sense to buy a petrol car today? Well, that's a topic for another video. We have also created a video on should you buy an EV in 2025. You can watch that by clicking on this I button. So that was the video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like as well. Thank you so much. See you later.